Aaron, I got some bad news.
Oh, no.
I called my dad on Saturday, and
Is he okay?
Oh boy, hold on, I'm getting emotional. He found out I've been recording him for the podcast.
No.
Yeah.
How?
I don't know. I don't know for sure, but
Who? Jordan in the truck?
I don't think
That son of a bitch?
There's no Jordan in the truck. But I called him, and he says he cut me off. I just wanted to have a conversation with him, like a normal son with his father. And he cut me off, and he says, I know you've been fucking lying to me about your balls, okay? Your balls are fine. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, you're a fucking liar, and I know you've been recording me for the goddamn podcast too. And I said, that's not true. He's like, you're lying to me. You're probably fucking recording me right now. And I said, I'm not recording you. And he says, well, you know what? Since you're recording me, here's something for all your listeners. Here's a little soundbite. Gregory is a fucking liar. And then he kept me on the phone for 10 minutes to try to convince me to say that I was lying about recording him. I said, I've never recorded you once. I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, I know, you're bullshitting. You're bullshitting. So, unfortunately, I couldn't talk to my dad about my favorite thing ever, that being Manscaped. So, Aaron, I want to talk to you about Manscaped.
Okay.
And I mean,
I'm ready.
I'm not going to tell you anything that you don't already know about Manscaped's brand new Performance Package 4.0. I know you love the Performance Package.
I love the Performance Package. Well, first of all, you get the Lawnmower 4.0.
Of course. And it's
right? That's the main event. What do you think is the opening match? Because the opener needs to be hot.
It really sets the tone for the rest of the show.
The rest of the event. So for me, if I'm picking anything, it would be the Weed Whacker.
Yes, because more important than my balls sometimes is those unsightly nose hairs that I get and ear hairs.
You do get a lot of nose hairs. What's up with that? Is that hereditary?
Is it that noticeable?
Well, sometimes it is.
Come on, man.
Like right now, I can tell that you've used your Weed Whacker because I don't see any hair in your ears or your nose.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't
or
see
on your balls.
I was going to say you wouldn't see any hair on my balls either because, I've been using the Lawnmower 4.0 religiously, but also you can't see the hair on my balls even if it was there because I got the briefs that come in the Performance Package.
Well, I come in the briefs.
Okay. Jesus, man. What is wrong with you?
Did you want to see?
No.
I have a pair.
No.
I'll put them up on Patreon if somebody could buy them if they want.
You get the Lawnmower in the Performance Package, the Weed Whacker, the Crop Preserver, the Crop Reviver, boxer briefs, and a Shed travel bag. It's perfect for on the go, so wherever you go, even if it's to, say, Texas, you can shave your balls and not worry about any nicks, scratches, cuts, no bleeding. You'll be perfectly fine with the Performance Package 4.0, which is available now on Manscaped.com.
Earlier this week, I just didn't feel like shaving my balls.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever go through that? You just don't feel like it that day.
Yeah, but it's important because over 70% of mates prefer a groomed spouse.
I appreciate you saying that. What a pleasant experience it is to actually shave that hair right off my balls.
Yeah.
I shave it right off, and then sometimes into the shower, and then we just wash that hair down the drain. Because the 4.0 is waterproof.
It's a very important feature to have.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other day, I was dunking my balls in the toilet.
What?
And
they sag that far?
Well, when you get to be this age.
If you haven't tried Manscaped, you're missing out. And you know what? You stick with our podcast because you can get a discount on your Manscaped products. Manscaped.com. Use promo code PARDON. That's PARDON. And you're going to save 20% and get free shipping on all your Manscaped products. That's promo code PARDON. PARDON. And look, your balls will thank you.
Initiating podcast download. Prepare yourself. Put on your spandex. Lace up your boots. Wrap your wrists. Hide your razor blade. Head to gorilla position. Grease up your hair. Apply baby oil. Okay, apply more baby oil. Get into gimmick. Keep your ears open and your mouth shut. Have fun and be safe out there, brother. Welcome to Iron on Wrestling. Now your host, Gregory Iron.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Iron on Wrestling with Gregory Iron. I am your host, Gregory Iron. This is episode 109. Hey, I'm feeling fine. And today we got a fun episode for you today. A little bit different than usual. We've got Atticus Cogar in the house, but we also have Otis Cogar. That's right. Two brothers uniting on one podcast today. Only before they battle one another. This Sunday, July 4th, at GCW Backyard Wrestling 3. Brother versus brother. So it's going to be an interesting podcast. How's it going to go down? We don't know. We won't know till we get to the interview. And is that, I don't know what's, it's is it Santa Claus? I don't know.
Pardon the interruption.
Yeah. Hello.
A somber Aaron Bauer joining you today.
Okay, what's wrong?
You haven't noticed?
No.
Okay. What's different about the house? You're used to hearing the sound.
Yeah. Oh.
She didn't kick out this time.
No, what?
Yeah.
You legitimately did not tell me this
I know.
before we started recording. I guess I didn't even think about it.
A
Why?
lot of times you like to think of yourself. So,
Okay, that's not true.
yeah.
That is horrible.
Yeah.
Lola passed away.
Yep.
All right.
I was going to do a 10-bell salute, but I figured if, I pulled out her old chain that you used to always scream about. Hey, get that dog off that chain. It's ruining our
I
podcast.
never said that. That's not true.
Should I don't know if I should just start slurping water now, or
Yeah.
did you get the point?
You do need to periodically slurp water in the background now in tribute. And usually, you sometimes you can hear a fart in the background. So,
Well, we'll have to work on that. I haven't, not at that point right
well, I wasn't expecting being emotional to start the podcast. So what happened?
Yeah, that's my bad. She died.
I
So-
fucking understand that, you dipshit.
Her insides weren't working anymore, and all she could do was drink water. And then so what we did was we had to wrap her in blankets and then carry her out to my car. And then I told the boys that I was taking her to the vets, and maybe they should say goodbye because things don't look good.
Yeah.
Told them I'd save her if I could, but you already know.
Yeah.
This vet place, they said, okay, we got, 3 options for you. We can cremate her here and then sprinkle her ashes into our, what we like to call it, the Garden of Pets Past.
What?
They have a cemetery at this veterinarian clinic.
Okay.
Okay. Another option was we can cremate her, put her ashes into an urn, and then send the urn home with you, and you can proudly display it or whatever. And that's an extra $100. And then the other option was you can just take her home and bury her in your backyard. And I go, I don't even know the ordinances on that, and I don't want to bring her back, and I don't want to dig.
Yeah.
Big ass dog, yo.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. And so I chose for her to go to the garden of pets. And that's it. But they did make a nice paw print into like cement or something for me. And then they also told me there were other options that they could do. They could shave her hair, some of her hair off, and then put it into a bag for me. And I could bring that home.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of pet lovers out there. And look, I love my dog. But I vacuumed after she left. And there's enough hair that come into the vacuum and that she was shedding. It's summertime. You know, dogs shed. They shed that winter coat. And she was shedding pretty extremely. So there was another option, and it was they could put the ashes in a bucket, and then I could take this bucket to my tattoo artist, and maybe they would put the ashes mixed in with the ink and do a tattoo. So that way,
what?
Doesn't that sound ridiculous?
Yeah.
And I know this is crazy because we've all been sad around here, but. I was like, wait, what's going to happen? A lot of people like to get a tattoo of their dog or their, dog's paw print or the dog's name on their body and everything. And then you could just be one with your dog, for the rest of your life with these ashes that would go in. And I don't know. Maybe I could talk to the tattoo artist that did my Arn tattoo. Mm-hmm. And see if they actually would do that. But I would never want that. It just seems like that's not, I don't know, sanitary.
Well, I feel like, you could probably take those ashes and get a tattoo of something that is very meaningful to you. Like, I don't know, a Grilling JR tattoo on your other arm. And, it could be in honor of both Lola, but also anytime JR talked about someone running like a scalded dog.
Yes.
I think that would be very fitting, which, I want to get back to Lola in a second, but we finally had our commercial on the Arn show
but it wasn't
past Saturday.
Just a commercial, was it?
It felt like more than that. It was pretty epic, I think.
Yeah, because, Conrad listens to the show, and he talked about how we're a lot of fun.
We are.
I mean, he went off the script. It wasn't just like your normal run-of-the-mill ad that runs. No. He put us over. He likes us. He called us knuckleheads.
He did.
He used a couple expletives.
Sure.
But, I think that meant so much more than just your regular, hey, Iron On Wrestling drops every Wednesday.
Shut the fuck up. I want to point this out. A big fan of the show, and I'm a big fan of his work. Smiley Lucha on Instagram. He reached out to me. He listens to the show all the time. He's incredibly talented, very innovative, trained by Amazing Red. He reached out to me and he said, I like how Juan of the Dead still has openings for the remainder of 2020. Not realizing that I haven't listened to the commercial in a long time. Right. And so I feel like I owe Juan an updated commercial at some point. In fact, maybe this will be my commercial for Ron? Maybe this will be my commercial for Juan right now. I mean, you love Of the Dead designs, don't you, Aaron?
They're my favorite designs.
They've done a lot of great work for the show, including something that we're sending this week in the mail for all of our $20 and up patron subscribers, and that is a poster of the one and only Rod Destiny. That's right, a gigantic poster that Juan Ortiz drew and designed himself. That's also on a koozie. This is a little spoiler for you guys. This is some of the stuff that you're getting in the mail in the $20 and up Animal Steel package, and Juan designed that. He's also done a bunch of the artwork for the podcast as far as logos of me and Aaron, and he's done design work for various T-shirts for me over the years. I mean, he's just incredibly talented.
Not forget that he did that T-shirt for my son after my son's best friend passed away recently.
Yeah.
Juan made that shirt, and those guys wear the shirt, frequently.
Well, the thing about that was the picture while sentimental to your son, it wasn't the best quality, but Juan, because he's so creative, he was able to look at what he was working with, and he created something that I feel is really special and incredible. And I feel like we should probably share that on the social media so people can get a taste of what Juan can come up with. Even like if you have the grandest of idea or something that just, you're just hoping you can get something great out of it for a sentimental occasion, Juan can do it, and he's that talented. But not only has he done stuff for us, he's one of the biggest sellers on Pro Wrestling Tees because he's done stuff for guys like Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus and the Young Bucks. Have you ever heard of a guy by the name of Hulk Hogan? He's done design work for him. I mean, Juan does it all. Incredibly talented. He's been doing this for years and years, plying his trade for some of the best in the business. If you want to have Juan Ortiz and Of the Dead Designs design something for you, all you got to do, contact Of the Dead Designs right now on Instagram at ofthedead209, on Facebook at facebook.com/ofthedeaddesigns, or go to his website, ofthedead.weebly.com. He's a one-man merch design company. He's created so much merch for guys in WWE, AEW, ROH, Impact, New Japan, and so much more. He has competitive prices, over 14 years of experience. Reach out to Juan, and you know what? Tell him you heard this ad on Iron on Wrestling, and he's going to save you $10 on your first order. Sign up now. He's got a lot of openings throughout the year of 2021.
Yeah.
Because this is an updated ad, and Juan would appreciate your business. He's too talented not to have your business. Hit up Juan. He'll appreciate it, and we appreciate it here on Iron on Wrestling. But before we continue with today's episode, Aaron, what is your best memory of Lola? Because I don't want to just brush that off. Like I'm really, I'm sorry about your loss.
Yeah,
it's very unfortunate. And
how long have you been here? What time did you arrive today? Because you definitely weren't on time.
No, I've been here for about 90 minutes. I didn't notice at all.
Okay. I intentionally did not tell you of Lola's passing. All I did was just post profile pics on Facebook of Lola. And several of our patrons reached out to me. I know you're not a patron, so I'm not saying, because you didn't reach out to me. But they noticed, and then when you came here for 90 minutes, you went on some sort of epic rant about some such nonsense, and then just never noticed it.
I was caught up in my own emotion.
You are.
And I didn't consider your emotion. And
then you said to me, after you got done with your rant, in all fairness, you did say, "I'm sorry, Aaron. How has your week been?"
I did do that.
Yeah. And I said, "Everything's cool, man." She just couldn't, there was no reason for her to be alive anymore. The kids, I really believe, is why she just kept living.
Sure.
My final words to her, I looked at her as she was falling out, and I said, "I'm sorry. I love you."
And you super kicked her?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
She was down, though. It was over.
Well, rest in peace, Lola. You will be missed. I know even though it annoyed me sometimes, I will miss you licking my bad hand.
It's the bottom of the fourth. A's 3.
Okay.
Dodgers 12. 4. M. Simmons is at bat. Number 2 pitching. 1 on, no 1 out.
My son's at bat right now.
Aaron's very proud of his children.
M. Cruz steals 3rd.
Ball 2.
Ooh.
The
See, I
count is
watch
2-2.
live stream of my son playing baseball.
Ball 3.
Because usually I'm there, but Greg makes
The
me
count
be
is
here.
3-2.
I don't make you do anything.
Hell yeah!
What?
All right. Scored a run.
That's awesome.
Yeah, baby. Good job. That's my kid. That's my kid!
All right. Calm down. All right.
I don't have much good in my life right now. Let me enjoy that. Okay.
I respect that.
Okay.
R.I.P. Lola.
So yeah, nobody had died in like 2 weeks. For that was like either a coworker that I couldn't save, a grandmother that passed away that was really, basically the closest person in my life.
Sure.
To me. And then my dog. And then a friend of mine came over and was cleaning the fish tank for me the other day, and she looked and said, "Oh, 2 of your snails are dead."
Okay.
So, good luck in living, Greg. Because if you know me, there's a chance you may pass away within a couple weeks.
Listen, I
So
understand.
I'm sorry.
I understand you're going through a lot right now.
Yeah.
But I just want you to know that usually the intro coincides with what we do later in the show.
What are we
And
doing?
I want you to know that we don't have the Soul Taker on the show. Okay? And we just spent the first 25 minutes talking about tragic death.
Okay.
So why don't we
Why don't you edit that up a little?
why don't we try to talk about something a little happier, like 2 brothers beating the shit out of each other, right?
Oh, okay. Well, I have that here every day.
Yeah, I'm sure you see it on a regular basis.
Yes.
I know I used to beat the shit out of my brother all the time.
No way. You
Ye-
probably got the shit beaten out of you.
No, I'm the oldest.
What were you doing? You're not the oldest.
Yes, I am.
What about that cop?
He's the second oldest.
Really?
He's a year younger than me.
Oh.
Yeah.
What about
But you know what's funny about that, though?
Uh-huh.
Interesting. So I was born on October 12th, 1986.
Yeah.
And Mike, my brother, was born on February 25th, 1988. And you know what?
Wow, that is crazy.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Here's what I always found interesting about our fights. My brother was born on Ric Flair's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And the internet has it wrong, but I'll go with it. Dusty Rhodes was born on October 11th.
Uh-huh.
But around the internet, if you look, a lot of places say October 12th. So, I'm Dusty Rhodes. My brother's Ric Flair.
I like that.
Pretty weird. I always
Yeah.
found that very weird. But
I always go back, like, my great-grandparents. My great-grandfather, Garcia, passed away on Mother's Day. When my great-grandmother Garcia passed away, it was on Father's Day.
oh, that's weird.
And then when my grandfather Garcia passed away, it was on my grandmother's birthday.
Mm.
And then when my grandmother passed away, it was just a few weeks ago, and I still haven't gotten over it.
But, I thought we were moving on from that. I haven't brought up once that this weekend on July 4th was the day my mom died. 11 years, okay?
Do you want to talk about that?
No, I don't, actually.
Or do you want to talk about brother versus brother?
I want to talk about brother versus brother. So,
All right.
sibling...
I don't know that there were ever any
there-
brother versus brother
there-
matches. In
There are a lot. There are a lot. And there's some obvious ones that we could talk about. But I wanted to talk about one that I forgot about until I was doing some research a little bit. And it might be a little near and dear to your heart because we know, Aaron, that you love ECW. A lot of our listeners love ECW. I loved ECW. And this is around the time when I started watching ECW. And who could forget the brother rivalry between the Dudley Boyz and, of course, Little Spike Dudley. I'm sure you remember this feud fondly.
Yes. I remember this feud. I thought you were going to say the Rotten Brothers.
I was going to bring that up as well.
Yeah.
I wanted to start out very different because,
Okay.
again, there's some obvious places we can go. But
Dudley's, yes.
when I started
Well,
watching ECW, I remember this feud.
Here's what I remember, because you didn't start watching until after I did. So the original brother-brother feud was Devon and Bubba Ray,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
And then they were both pining for the affection of Big Dick.
Yeah, Big Dick Dudley, yes.
Yeah, it was just like, we need Big Dick.
Mm-hmm.
One of us. And I think Bubba turned heel.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how that happened?
I believe so.
And aligned with Devon.
Yeah.
And they became the tag team. I mean, and Hall of Famers.
And look, they were fucking hated in ECW. Like, I
Yeah.
think, like, if you're a younger fan or you didn't watch ECW, you know the Dudleys one way, and it's mostly with them being baby faces in the WWF. But man, in ECW, they got some fucking heat. And when they feuded with Spike, Spike was beloved. Like,
Spike
I don't-
TV?
No,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
Spike Dudley.
Right.
Like, I feel like people tend to forget about Spike
Mm-hmm.
and how over he was in that time period.
Him getting thrown by Bigelow?
It's been played a million times.
Yeah. It's awesome.
It's iconic.
Spike was, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
100%. And
Yeah.
and like to fast forward, I think his most notable thing in WWE, while it wasn't necessarily a rivalry or anything, him aligning and having a relationship with Molly Holly.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
What a great love story.
Yeah.
And also, my favorite thing ever was during that time period, Stone Cold Steve Austin was making a petition because he didn't want to fight Chris Benoit and Jericho in a triple threat at King of the Ring. He thought it was unfair. That's what he's doing. My name is Stone Cold Steve Austin. What? And it's very like, I don't deserve this. That was his thing at that time period. And so he made this petition, so he had other wrestlers go around and sign it. And he walks up to Spike in a promo and he goes, "Hey, sign my petition so I don't have to wrestle Benoit and Chris Jericho." And Spike's like, "Sure, I'll sign it." He's just like, "Oh yeah, by the way, why are you running around with that Molly Holly? She's a bimbo. You didn't hear?" And he's like, "What did you just say about my girlfriend?" He's like, "Oh yeah, she's a bimbo. You didn't hear about that?" And he's just like, "My girlfriend is not a bimbo." And he takes the petition, and he rips it up, and right in front of Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then they end up having a match on SmackDown later that night, and then Stone Cold just beats the shit out of him. But like the promo is great. So if you've never seen it, go look it up on YouTube. But to backtrack, ECW, how over Spike is. The culmination of this feud between the Dudley Boyz and Spike Dudley occurs at ECW Guilty as Charged 1999. It's Spike Dudley and his partner, the late, great New Jack, versus the Dudley Boyz. And just a fucking classic match. And
Yeah.
Guilty as Charged 99 is a great pay-per-view in general. But do you remember this at all, Aaron?
They both dueling jumps off the balcony?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And Spike getting tossed around as usual, and New Jack just really helped him, bring his style of violence to the match, and it just, just an iconic feud. And again, the Dudleys were just such bastards back then. For them to pick on their little brother, just a true classic rivalry. But what was always near and dear to my heart, and one of the first really hardcore type matches I ever seen when I started watching ECW, is I ended up getting a tape of, I believe it was Hardcore Heaven 1995, and it was the culmination of the rivalry between Axel and someone that I've worked with several times over the years, Ian Rotten, in the famous Taipei Death Match. What do you remember about this one?
Ian's Cal Ripken tattoo.
I don't know if I've ever noticed that in my life.
Yeah, I think he has like an orange 8 or something on him, and I don't know. I knew it at the time, and then I was reading in the Aftermags because they started feuding before I watched ECW. I think Ian was gone from ECW by the time I started watching.
Yeah.
And reading about that there was these glass matches, Taipei Death or whatever. What are these guys doing? This is crazy.
Yeah, you can't get much crazier than that.
Yeah. Now everybody does it every weekend.
Yeah. Guys who don't know how to wrestle, just trying to get over because they don't understand that deathmatch wrestlers also have to have talent and the ability to use psychology.
It's
in
like what you
matches.
and 440 do.
Shut the fuck up, you piece of
What?
shit. It's not true.
You guys aren't doing death
we,
matches?
We do, but we do them with class and psychology and for a reason. But I will reveal this.
The reason is because they're too lazy to learn how to work a hold. From now on, what I want is 3 to 4 minutes on a headlock, an arm twister, and a Soviet Scorpio death lock.
Shut up. Yeah, I really remember enjoying the Taipei Death Match, and there's been some great ones since then. But you go back and watch. I never realized at the time. The secret to the Taipei Death Match is you just don't put the glass on your knuckles while you're punching each other in the face. So you just dip it with the top of your hand.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, they got glass. Because I remember watching the match and being like, fuck, this is brutal. And in reality, they're just punching each other with taped fists with glass on top. But still legendary.
So you've worked with Ian Rotten. I've worked with Ian Rotten.
Yeah.
You ever work with Axel?
I did one show with Axel in Pittsburgh when I used to wrestle at PWX back in the day. Nice guy, very cordial. Obviously, we all know that Axel has since passed away, but I was thankful to meet him and share a locker room with him, and it's just unfortunate that he had those personal demons. But, I think a lot of wrestlers have worked with Ian in some form or fashion over the years, whether it's in the ring or, of course, working for him at IWA Mid-South. And listen, some people have mixed opinions of Ian, but he's never done me wrong.
Yeah.
He's always paid me. He's always been good to me. And I even got one of the classic, legendary Ian Rotten impromptu speeches where he comes to the ring and he puts you over. And that was the first time I worked for him about 3 or 4 years ago, which it's wild that it took that long for me to work for Ian. But it was just super cool. And, you know, again, he's a polarizing figure, but I can't say anything bad about Ian. He's always treated me right, and I love working for him.
Well, I'll tell you what. When I worked for him, and when I worked with him, I think I managed Bad Boy Hito against him in a match for some championship of Michigan or something like that. I don't know. But we had a good time. He was very good to me. Took care of me. I have no complaints about the man.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, do you have a brother versus brother rivalry you want to talk about?
I was going to talk about the Mushroom Boys.
Who?
Ponderosa and Swedenhouse.
I don't know where.
Headhunter A versus Headhunter B.
Oh, okay. They had a feud
Yeah.
with each other?
Oh, yeah. You don't. This is why Stranglemania took off.
Oh, yeah. Why the
And then the whole big thing was
Okay.
they beat the shit out of each other in this match, and they went through glass. And
Why did I forget about this? I feel like an idiot now.
That's why this is the one I wrote down. When you told me to do research on brother versus brother, I knew I only needed one match because you wouldn't come up with this one. But at the top of your head, you probably have all the other ones.
But that's the thing. I told you before we started recording, I had to do a little more Googling than I expected, just because there
really?
was only like 3 or 4 that came to mind, and then I was like, oh, let me look this up, and then everything kind of came back to me. But
Yeah.
Stranglemania is so legendary. I don't know how that slipped my mind. For someone that didn't see Stranglemania, can you lay it out for him?
The Headhunters, which had a brief. What do you guys like to call it? You and Joe Dombrowski, a cup of coffee
Okay, I
in the WWE.
don't know if I say that. I
You
would say
say it.
stint.
You say a cup of coffee.
Do I?
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't know. I listen to every word you say.
Okay. Wow.
Okay, so yeah, they I don't know why they began to feud. I don't know the backstory because I only know that match, and I don't care about anything else. And then after they beat the shit out of each other and one pinned the other one, then some Japanese wrestlers get in the ring, and the Mushroom Boys or the Headhunters turn against these Japanese guys. And after they beat the shit out of each other, they just raise each other's arms. And the Insane Clown Posse is doing commentary. Like, the Mushroom Boys have been reunited.
Love it.
Yeah.
So good.
They were great, and they raised each other's arms, and they cut a promo afterwards backstage. And they were like, blood is thicker than water.
It's so good. Hey, look, if you've never seen Stranglemania, go find it and watch it, because if you love things like Mystery Science Theater, I mean, that's essentially ICP doing that over some pretty classic wrestling matches at the time, and it's just good shit. But
Dude, that was so much fun. And, you know, number one, Axel Rotten, we were talking about him. I had him, or Rod had him booked for one of our shows.
who?
Hey, bro.
Oh, okay.
We should book Axel.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. Axel Rotten. And then he no-showed.
Oh, that
And
sucks.
so at the last minute, Rod tried to scramble and get Ian Rotten to come in. And, man, Ian didn't come in. And then we ended up getting Balls Mahoney.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that probably worked out better. And plus, I have better stories than I would have had with anybody else.
Yeah, we've told some ball stories both in the regular episodes and in the bonus episodes over on patreon.com/irononwrestling, where, by the way, you can get all the bonus episodes, over 100, starting at just $3. And we're up to 71 Patreon subscribers right now, so we thank you guys for your support. I'm sure we'll talk about more Patreon stuff later.
Wait. Who else were we talking about?
Brother versus brother?
Yeah. Did the Armstrongs have a feud?
I can't think of them feuding off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's weird. Because I know they had a couple turns. Brad Armstrong turned into BA for a little bit.
Yeah.
He was part of the Hootie Who soldiers.
He
or
was
something.
the Arachna Man or whatever.
Yeah, but that don't count.
I
He
mean,
wasn't feuding with his brother.
But I'm saying,
as
like,
the Arachna Man.
he had a bunch of gimmicks.
Oh,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, he had.
He was goddamn Candy Man.
Okay, I always actually laugh when they say that over on Tony's podcast. That's tremendous.
Yeah. Good
But
stuff.
I don't know if they ever actually feuded with each other. But when I think of brother versus brother feuds that maybe weren't the best, there's one that comes to mind right away, and that is Booker T versus Stevie Ray.
I don't think I liked it.
Well, more so than the match that isn't that memorable, which I'm pretty sure happened at Sold Out 2000, and Stevie Ray ends up losing his mind and turns his back on Booker T. Going forward, when they bring in Big T.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Ahmed Johnson?
yes,
yes.
and they become Harlem Heat 2000,
Oh,
and then the fucking feud with Big T over the rights to the letter T.
Yeah.
And they bring in Clarence Mason, and they have him under a different name. And I think Booker T had that
Mason
manager.
Clarence, yeah.
No, that wasn't his name. Booker T had a manager, I think was named Midnight.
Yeah.
And just what the fuck was going on in WCW in 2000? Feud over the letter T.
Yeah.
So dumb. And also,
We should feud over a letter.
which letter would you like to feud over?
Which one? I like F. I like two letters. I like F.
Well,
And you.
Okay, wow, I didn't see that coming.
Most women don't.
Booker T and Stevie Ray did not have the best feud, and of course, I don't know. Obviously, Booker T had great success, but I don't know if being a singles wrestler did Stevie Ray any favors. And I think the the bottom of the barrel part of his career occurs. I believe it's maybe Slamboree 1999. This is before the official turn, of course, but he has a feud with Virgil over the rights to the NWO Black and White, and it is just, I can't believe it's a match that they did on pay-per-view. But Stevie Ray never had a good opportunity as a singles competitor. He was a great commentator, I thought, right?
Stevie Ray, I love Stevie Ray on commentary. I
excelled.
really did.
Yeah, he excelled at commentary.
A lot of people clowned him, but
No,
I
he was
thought
great.
like Fruit Booty and stuff like
Yo,
that.
yeah,
I thought he
getting
was good.
Getting over Fruit Booty was the best thing ever. But so great at commentary, also a great wrestler, but he never got his due. But his feud with Booker was not good. But to sort of go to another feud, brother versus brother in WCW, that I think wasn't that bad and actually led to another breakout career for one of these guys. Not so much the other. Rick Steiner versus Scott Steiner. Now I think
I had that in my list, but I hated it.
Didn't they try that for like a second in 91 before they, or 92 before they go to the WWF?
Yeah, there was like rumors about it or whatever.
They were building towards a turn, but they never
but
did it.
I think they wanted Rick to be the babyface. Do you remember when Rick was scheduled to beat Flair for the championship? Or am I wrong?
That was something we've talked about before.
Yeah. And then Scott, I remember Scott wrestling Ric Flair on a Clash of the Champions, and I thought, man, this is it. This is his moment. It's going to happen. It didn't happen.
No.
But then once Scott turned and went to the NWO, I mean, that was it for him.
Yeah.
He went to the moon.
Well, so they build up to this turn at Super Brawl 8 in 1998, and leading up to it, I don't know if you remember this, Aaron. It was a good build because for whatever reason, Scott would be in these matches and he would never tag in Rick, and he would just win the matches by himself, and then Rick would kind of be like, "What the heck are you doing? Like, tag me in." And eventually, it all culminates at Super Brawl 8. Scott Steiner turns his back on his brother Rick. And then it's really jarring. I remember it being shocking at the time when he comes out on Nitro.
Yes.
And the mullet is gone.
Yes.
And he's got the bleached blonde hair, and he's got the goatee. And, it was
When
like
you
a
change,
different person.
Yes. That's how a turn should be done.
Yeah.
Not just you grew a beard.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
man.
a 180 from
Yeah.
what Scott always looked like.
Dude, and he was money.
Yes. I mean, I love Scott Steiner. I was so happy when he was getting that push in 99, 2000. I mean, in retrospect, maybe it wasn't the best thing, but I remember as a kid, I was like, I'm into Scott Steiner being the main event because he was so big. He was a big Papa Pump,
Right.
big bad booty daddy.
Well, I was into him being the main event because he was one of my favorite wrestlers as a kid.
However, I will say
He did the Frankensteiner.
he did do
There
the
wasn't nobody
Frankensteiner.
doing a Frankensteiner.
No, not at all, especially not his size. One of the negative parts of this feud, though, we probably should bring up. They end up wrestling at Fall Brawl and I think at Halloween Havoc in 1998. Part of that feud, of course, Chucky comes into play. That's right. Yeah, Chucky gets involved. You know what? I said it's probably the better feud between Booker T and Stevie Ray and Rick Steiner and Scott Steiner. But when you really consider that one of the most infamous moments in wrestling occurs when Chucky comes in to basically put over Scott and say that he's going to be in Chucky's next film and that Scott is a big star. You know, now that I think about this, Aaron, I think people on Patreon know this especially. You probably love this feud because you love dolls being involved with storylines in professional wrestling.
You know what? I've been thinking about it lately.
Yeah.
I've been thinking all wrestling should just be dolls.
Yeah.
Remember we talked about like what's the new thing for wrestling, and I said cats wrestling each other is funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was wrong. I mean, it is funny, but puppets and Muppets and ventriloquism dummies and stuff. That's what I'm into right now.
I love it. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Definitely do.
And you got to pay nobody any contracts.
That's true.
Yeah.
Very
You just
true.
have these. Hey, you ever seen Team America? World Police?
I love Team America.
Yeah. What if we just did fight scenes like that? I'd watch 3 hours of Raw easily if it was puppets fighting and then making love. And oh my god,
I haven't seen it forever, but I imagine at the time it was pretty controversial.
Yeah.
It's got to be even more controversial now.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think I'll put it on in the background.
Okay.
I have a different setup in the studio now, so your back is kind of towards the television. If you'd like to turn and look, I'll see if I can find
I will look
it.
on occasion, but I
will look at you.
I'm more worried about
Doing a
providing this incredible
podcast?
audio for our
you're
listeners.
Right. Okay.
What did you think about the
probably
feud between two brothers named Christian and Edge?
No.
What?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. We knew it was eventually going to happen. It didn't turn out though. Like it just didn't work for some reason.
Well, listen.
Here, dude, I'm telling you, I thought Christian should have been the choice for the King of the Ring, and I thought Christian should have been pushed to the moon.
Well, you know what? I did like what they did to start the feud, though, because Edge wins the King of the Ring, and Christian's always the one that wants to carry the trophy. You know what I mean? And they're building it, and then you think the turn's going to happen, and then it doesn't happen, and eventually the turn finally does happen. Christian ends up defecting the Team Alliance, and the feud at the time, at least in America, culminates in a ladder match, which occurs, I believe, at No Mercy 2001. It's a ladder match for the Intercontinental title. Edge ends up winning that belt from Christian. And Edge has said over the years that he didn't think it was their best performance. And listen, I don't think it's a bad ladder match. But when you take in consideration that at that point, Christian and Edge had some of the most infamous TLC and ladder matches of the time, perhaps maybe it could have been a step up. But that's how the feud really culminates for us here in the States. But not a lot of people saw their actual blow-off match, which actually happened at WWF Rebellion 2001 in the UK. And it's the final time in the WWF that you see the big blue, or at that point, black, steel cage. Have you ever seen this match, Aaron?
Yes. Yeah, we had the DVD here.
Oh. Yeah, you actually have seen it. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Do you remember the finish?
No.
Okay, I'm going to tell you what the finish is because it was a cool finish. Christian is going out of the ring, and he's trying to get out. And as he's trying to get out, Edge ends up tying his shoelaces, and he's stuck to the side of the cage. And Edge ends up going out the door.
Yeah.
Fucking tremendous. And Christian is stuck hanging upside down from the cage.
Yeah, that's real
Nowhere
good.
to go.
Yep.
And I remember just thinking, like, it was the best thing ever at the time. So, like, listen, if you believe into the idea of what Edge says and you don't think that the Intercontinental title ladder match at No Mercy was that good, I encourage you to seek out Rebellion 2001 watch the actual blow-off because I think it's one of the better cage matches that no one talks about. But listen, if we're talking about brother versus brother and we're talking about feuds that culminate in a cage, where am I going with this, Aaron?
Owen and Bret.
That's right, Bret versus Owen Hart. I might say that Bret and Owen, brother versus brother, that might be my favorite brother versus brother feud.
Brother.
Mm-hmm. What do you think?
It was great because Bret, kept refusing. He didn't want to wrestle his little brother.
Yeah.
We kept seeing the turn coming, and it was beautifully done.
See, you're older than me. I didn't see the turn coming.
No?
I mean, so it all starts with Survivor Series 1993. Beautiful setup. The brothers are coming together, that being Bret, Owen, I believe it's Bruce and Keith as a team, and they fight Jerry Lawler's Knights. But, of course, Jerry Lawler isn't involved for legal reasons, so he's replaced by Shawn Michaels. It's interesting how Shawn and Bret fight several times over the years at Survivor Series at 92, 93, and, of course, 97. So it's Shawn Michaels and the Knights versus Bret Hart and the Hart family. And, of course, there's a spot in the match where Bret is hurt. He's walking across the apron. Owen is whipped into the ropes. He ends up hitting Bret off the apron. Owen is obviously concerned about his brother. Owen gets rolled up. 1, 2, 3. And Owen ends up being the only guy on that team eliminated. The Harts win, but Owen's not involved. And he comes down and he pulls Bret off the top rope, and he talks about how selfish Bret is and all he cares about himself. And it's funny, the little subtleties involved. Like, Bret goes out of his way to get the same biker shorts as the rest of the team, but he's bright pink and everyone else is black. Yeah. So just little things like that. And so Owen wants to fight his brother. Bret doesn't want to do it. And, of course, over the course of a few weeks, he has a talk with the family, both Owen and Bret, and Owen gets a sense about him. Bret decides he's going to dedicate his career to being exclusively a tag team wrestler with his brother Owen, and they're going to win the tag team championships from the Quebecers at the Royal Rumble. And it's a beautiful story. The brothers come together, and now they're going to battle for these tag titles at the Royal Rumble. And what do you know? Bret ends up getting hurt during this match at the Royal Rumble, and his leg is bothering him, his knee. As often happened for Bret in matches. It was kind of weird how that worked. It happened so often that I always picked up on it as a kid. I was like, oh, that's weird. He always hurts his knee. He must have a real bad knee. But look, Bret sold that shit like a motherfucker. I always bought into it. Like, everyone knows he's got a bad knee. I don't know how this guy's still wrestling. And so he won't tag out to Owen. He won't tag out, and the Quebecers end up winning the match. And afterwards, you think Owen's going to help Bret. But no, he kicks his leg out of his leg. And he talks about how he's too damn selfish. You're too damn selfish, Bret.
Yeah, but he called him a shellfish at one point.
I don't think he called him a shellfish. He definitely said he kicked his leg out of his leg.
Yeah, and then he says shellfish, and that was a rib.
Was it?
Yeah.
From what?
I don't know. I remember reading that in, like, The Torch or The Observer or one of the dirt sheets. But he kept saying, "You're a shellfish." But I think the rib was he was messing up the word. Yeah. Like, to get heat more than anything. He just wanted people to make fun of him.
Sure.
Yeah. What a sweet subtlety.
Well, so that happens, and of course you think that Bret is kind of screwed after this, but he goes on to win the Royal Rumble later that night. He's on the road to WrestleMania. They end up doing 2 title matches at WrestleMania 10, and so because Lex Luger wins the coin toss and he gets to wrestle Yokozuna first, Bret Hart has to face suitable competition, and so he's put up against his brother. And to this day, people say that it might be the best opening match in the history of pro wrestling. Owen versus Bret, an incredible match at WrestleMania 10, and Owen beats Bret with a victory roll.
It's so beautiful.
And listen, the ending of the pay-per-view. So after Owen beats Bret, he has his moment. He cuts a promo after the match, which I'll never forget because he had spit in the corner of his mouth. And I remember being real grossed out by it. I was like, just wipe that spit from your mouth, dude. But he's so proud of himself that he did what no one thought he could do. He beat his brother Bret. He's no longer in the shadow. And listen, this is the storytelling that WWE doesn't fucking do anymore.
Yes.
At the end of the night, Bret overcomes the odds. He beats Yoko for the belt. All the baby faces come up and they pick up Bret on his shoulder. And I'm getting goosebumps just saying it. And here comes Owen down the aisle. Yeah. Staring in the ring at his brother Bret, shaking his head because he knows. Yep. He knows You son of a bitch.
Yeah. You upstaged me again.
Yeah.
I just beat you at WrestleMania.
And no one's talking
in
about
the greatest match that anybody's ever
that.
seen.
No one cares.
Yes,
because
and
Bret
now
is the
Bret
champion.
once again
Yep.
is the main brother.
Yeah, and so they feud.
So for what, 2 hours and 40 minutes?
yeah,
Owen's
the man.
was the man. Was the man. Was the King of Hearts until his brother took that from him too.
yep,
And natural feud. You know what I mean? Yeah, your number one contender right here. He just beat the champion.
and
Who wasn't the champion at the time. Oh, it's great.
over the course of the summer, we get that feud between Bret and Owen. Owen ends up winning King of the Ring in 1994. He has Jim Neidhart turn on.
No.
What?
Neidhart.
That's what I said, Neidhart. He turns on Bret Hart. You think he's going to help him that night because Bret's in a feud with Diesel
Yeah.
for the WWF Championship. A DQ is caused and ruckus ensues. Later, Neidhart helps Owen win the King of the Ring, and it was all a ruse, a sham. They were in on it together all along. Owen and Jim are aligned. Of course, going into SummerSlam, we get the famous steel cage match between Bret and Owen. Some say it's the best steel cage of all time. I think it's good. I think,
Steel cage match, Bret and Owen?
Yeah.
SummerSlam?
yeah,
Yeah, no. Worst match I've ever seen.
I think it's too long.
Yep.
It's
I almost
way
fell
too
asleep. I
long.
remember. I did not like that match. And that was the same pay-per-view with the Taker versus Taker, right?
Correct.
Oh, I remember buying that pay-per-view and just being upset.
I remember liking it as a kid.
Well, yeah, you're 10 years younger than me, so
Yeah.
you were like, "Oh, cool, 2 Undertakers wrestling.
I
What could
wa-
be better?"
I-
And I was like, "Oh no, 2 Undertakers are wrestling? Do I
Yeah.
want to see this?"
But also, I didn't really understand because I was 7. I was 7, so I didn't notice that one had purple gloves and one had gray. So I remember watching the show, probably like everyone in the crowd, because if you go back and listen, there's no reaction. I remember thinking, which one's the good Undertaker? I don't know who I'm cheering for. I was like, I don't know. And it's the same with the crowd the whole time. So it's really flat. So if I'm a 7-year-old kid and I couldn't get invested, I can't imagine, being in that arena that night in Chicago and being
And
able to get
Chicago's
invested.
what known for?
Being a good wrestling crowd.
Yeah.
And, so in that cage match, the British Bulldog sort of returns, and we get that alliance between Bret and the Bulldog because Owen has Jim in his corner. And we get a match that people often forget about. I believe it's one of their final matches in the year on the debut episode of Action Zone. Do you remember the Action Zone, Aaron?
I mean, I remember the show, but
Yeah,
I
it
don't.
was like a Saturday morning show. And
Wasn't it like mostly a recap show or no?
they did original matches on there. I think
Yeah.
it might have turned into a recap show
Yeah,
down the
yeah,
line,
yeah.
but the first year or two. And so Owen and Bret have a actually pretty good match on the Action Zone at the time. And the feud sort of ends when Owen ends up costing Bret the WWF Championship at Survivor Series 1994. Of course,
That
he
was
helped.
great,
he
too.
He has Martha and Stu throw in the towel, and Bob Backlund becomes the champion. I think Owen actually plays a factor at the 1995 Royal Rumble as well. But basically they go their separate ways after that time period. But I love this feud. I love the storytelling. I love how manipulative Owen was, and then I love how after the fact he does what he could never do with his brother. He becomes tag team champions with Yokozuna. And they have sort of an odd couple tag team that just sort of works.
Yeah.
In retrospect, on paper, Owen and Yoko doesn't make any sense, but it was a great tag team for
To
1995.
me, it did because I was like, "Oh, sweet, you got the big ass dude in there, power, dominance, and then you got the guy that could take the bumps and work fast."
Absolutely.
Oh man,
Good
I
stuff.
love the contrast. I have another brother feud:
Who you got, brother?
Kane and Undertaker.
That's what I was gonna go. I burped. Wow.
Bless you.
Thank you. That's what I was gonna go with next. Wow, you just did that on command. Undertaker and Kane. Now, some people say that this is the best story in the history of the WWE, and I know for a fact that Undertaker and Kane believe this. Where do you rank Undertaker and Kane as far as the storyline?
Here's what I'd say. The story's good. It was entertaining at times, but I thought it was too close to Bret and Owen.
You think? I feel like it's a completely different story.
Oh, so the older brother said, I don't want to fight my brother. And kept saying, I'm not going to fight my brother. And then fought his brother inside of a steel cage.
Well, they didn't fight in a steel cage at
Well,
first.
but
Also, I don't remember them fighting in a steel cage, actually.
didn't they fight in a Hell in a Cell or anything? They've
Uh,
never fought in a Hell in a
They
Cell?
fought in a Hell in a Cell in 2010.
Okay, well, eventually it got there.
Okay.
Right. What was, they did Inferno matches. They did, what else?
Buried Alive match.
Buried Alive
Years
matches.
later.
Yeah, come on, man. It was basically the same feud.
Oh, yeah, because I remember when Bret killed Owen supposedly in a house fire, and then Owen came back to seek revenge for his brother. They thought.
Well,
killed
yeah,
him.
they had to come
And
up
Paul
with a little
Bearer-
something different.
Yeah, and then Paul Bearer had sex with Helen Hart. I remember when that happened. And then that turned out that Owen was the child of Paul Bearer. Remember that?
No, because I'm very confused because you botched a joke 3 times already, and you're going to edit that out.
Shut
but
the
if
fuck
if
up.
I were to botch it, you'd leave it in there. Oh, Aaron turned off his microphone accidentally, and I never knew.
You did do that once, you son of a bitch.
Your mother did that once.
Anyways,
And hey, do you want to talk about Ron of the Ortiz anymore, or no?
shut up.
Or was that edited out too?
Undertaker and Kane, I think, the story was a great story.
Uh-huh.
Also, I'm younger than you, though, so I was emotionally invested in the magic and stuff, as we alluded to last week with Benjamin Boone. But I don't know. I like the story. I remember when Undertaker came back after being burned in the casket at Royal Rumble, and he was on the stage, and he told Kane he would walk through the fires of hell to face Kane. Because, look, Kane took it too far, and Undertaker had no choice but to fight his brother. Yes, it's sort of similar to the Bret situation, but not really. I mean, you got two sort of magical, mythical, undead characters battling one another. And listen, at the time, I thought WrestleMania 14 was a really cool match. Perhaps maybe it wasn't the match that it could have been, but I think you got a good payoff with the story. I remember being like, I thought it was crazy that The Undertaker had to beat Kane with 3 tombstones as a child. I remember being like, whoa, like, yo, Kane is tough. Because he had to take 3 tombstones, and he still got up after. That's crazy. The Inferno match, the original, I think it's a great spectacle. Mm-hmm. Just seeing the whole thing, every time they took a bump, the flames rose up. I thought it was really cool to watch. I don't know. The original feud, I think, is great. I think the follow-up that they do in 2010, not so good. They bring back Paul Bearer for that, which is cool. The Buried Alive match in 2010, I could have done without it. But Kane got a world title run out of it, I guess, so that's cool. So I think follow-up, not so good. And, of course, they did it a couple times over the years. They did it in 2000 as well. And they had a match at SummerSlam 2000 where Undertaker ended up taking Kane's mask off and all this good stuff. But, yeah, I don't know. I think Undertaker and Kane ranks up as all in the all-time brother versus brother feuds for sure.
I think there's one better than that.
What's that?
Me versus my brother, the Maestro.
You guys aren't actual brothers.
Oh, the Undertaker and Kane are.
Oh, okay.
Right. And Owen and Bret Hart are.
I mean, they are.
Oh. When? And Bret are? Actual brothers?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Booker T and Stevie Ray aren't.
They are.
Oh. Well, what about the Guns? Billy and Bart.
Oh, man, I didn't even think about that.
Mm-hmm. I've been thinking about that since last night.
They did have a little bit of a feud there. But see, actually, I can't remember. They started on Raw, and I think sort of the only real payoff we get, if I can remember, ends up being on the pre-show of Survivor Series 96. But actually, from what I've heard over the years, that actually wasn't supposed to be the payoff, because I think Bradshaw was in this 8-man tag, and Bradshaw accidentally gets eliminated. And so they end up improv doing a finish where it ends up being down to Billy on one side and Bart on the other. And you would have thought on paper that's what they would have done anyways, because
Yeah.
they need to kind of pay off this feud. And Bart ends up beating Billy, but then it doesn't really go anywhere or do anything. And then, of course, eventually Billy ends up becoming one of the New Age Outlaws, and Bart ends up winning Brawl for All, but he's not supposed to win Brawl for All. So because he knocks out Dr. Death, and that's JR's boy, his future looks kind of bleak in the WWE, and then he gets knocked the fuck out at WrestleMania 15 by Butterbean.
Yeah, too bad.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
All right.
But
You
I
got
mean-
another one?
The only other one I can think of is Jeff and Matt Hardy. Do you remember this one at all?
I remember that there were 2 turns, right? Matt Hardy turned against him twice.
I don't remember there being 2 turns. I remember there being, we weren't sure who had done the initial pyro explosion on Jeff.
Somebody killed somebody's dog?
Yeah, this all ends up being Matt Hardy. He ends up setting off pyro on the stage, and Jeff doesn't know about it, and Jeff almost gets burned by the pyro. And Jeff, in real life, his house burns down, and his dog passes away in the fire.
Yeah.
And we end up finding out that they turned it into a storyline, and Matt was the one that set off the pyro. Matt was the one that burned down his house and killed his dog because, basically Matt was tired of living in the shadow of Jeff. And then at Royal Rumble 2009, Matt finally ends up turning and revealing that he's behind all of this, and Jeff loses the WWE Championship, and we have...
See, I don't think that's what I'm thinking of. Where was the chair shot? Where Matt looks down at Jeff after he hits him with the chair.
Royal Rumble.
Okay, so there wasn't 2 turns?
I don't think
I
there's
was
two
real
turns.
sure that there were 2 turns. I think there was a start and stop or something. I could be wrong.
Well, they did,
But I'm not,
They
so-
sort of teased a turn years earlier. They sort of did a thing between Jeff.
Lita and Matt.
Yes,
Okay,
because,
yes.
because they have a match at Vengeance 2001 where Lita is the guest referee.
Yes.
And Matt's kind of getting a little heated over the situation. So they sort of teased it back then, but then they thought better of it, and they're like, let's keep running with the tag team for a little bit. But they officially do it in 2009, and then they have the WrestleMania 25 match, which is one of the only good matches on the show besides Shawn Michaels and Undertaker, of course. And the match ends with, it looks pretty sick if you go back and watch it. Jeff Hardy ends up taking the twist of fate from Matt while inside a steel chair that's open. And it's pretty gruesome looking. And I think they do an Extreme Rules match the next month, too, which is pretty interesting. But, I
think Alex Daniels turned against Josh Singh in Mega Wrestling.
Okay.
And Alex came to me and he was like, how about if I do a chair shot onto Josh and then I just look down on him as he's tied up in the ropes or something, like Matt Hardy did to Jeff Hardy.
Yeah. And
That's where the inspiration came from. But fucking Alex waffled Josh with that chair.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe that Josh, I think the way we organized things was Josh was in the ropes. Josh was tied in the ropes. And Alex came out for the save, and the heels left. And so instead of, and when Alex came in for the save, he came in with a chair. And instead of then, once the heels powdered, Alex getting Josh out of the ropes, he picked up the chair and cracked Josh. And Josh can't protect himself. That was right in the head. That was an unprotected chair shot.
That sucks.
I remember that. And he looked down at Josh, and I don't know if Josh got free then or how it ended up, but I remember it played out beautifully. And I like their feud a lot. I think maybe Josh Singh ended up becoming the mega champion.
Wow.
And went on to have a feud with podcast superstar Jerry.
Oh, interesting.
And, yeah, good shit there, pal.
That's very cool. Those are the only brother versus brother feuds that I can think of, unless you have anything else.
Dude, why do people hate Alex Daniels?
I don't know. I don't think people hate Alex Daniels.
All right.
Why?
Because I see a lot of times if I listen to some other podcasts or something and they're talking about like Cleveland companies
Yeah.
and they mention Alex Daniels, they don't say his name. They say like guy who we're not going to mention, like he's Benoit, like he murdered people or something.
Because there's fabrications and exaggerations out there about Alex between a small minority of fans, and so I'm not going to help in spreading those lies. And at one point, maybe perhaps we'll have Alex Daniels on the show. I would really like that. And
Well, I got a couple things I could reveal, so I'd like to get him on the show.
okay,
Can we do that like next week or something?
maybe sometime in the near future. We got
No, I'm talking next week. I'd like to call his ass right now.
I feel like you shouldn't call him right now, but
Why? What's he doing?
I don't know. I
Oh.
just feel like it.
That's not good.
No, probably not a good idea. But yeah, listen.
I'll call you.
We've talked for about an hour about
That's not good.
brother versus brother feuds here. I hope you're enjoying the content over here on the show. There's even more content over on patreon.com/irononwrestling where you get a buttload of bonus content starting at $3. We're talking audio podcasts, videos, short videos, long videos, in fact, full events. If you go up to the $5 tier, and also at the $5 tier, you're going to get a monthly Zoom chat with me and a bunch of other Patreon subscribers, and it's the funnest thing that we do as part of the podcast. It's a great community that we're building, and the Zoom call helps do that. At the $9 tier, it's the preferred tier over on Patreon, because not only do you get everything I just listed, but you also get to pick a bonus podcast subject once a month, which we cover over on the Patreon. And so we also have other tiers in which you can get something in the mail from us. $20 and up, $25 and up, you can be involved in the podcast via Zoom and talk about your subject with Aaron and I, and lots of other tiers that you can check into patreon.com/irononwrestling. We thank our 71 Patreon subscribers we got currently, and like I said, more important than the content, it's all about the community. And
73.
What?
73. By the time this episode airs,
Mm-hmm.
we'll have 2 more.
Oh, okay.
That's just a prediction.
That's a bold prediction, but try out the Patreon. It's the best way to support the show. And hey, listen, if you're not supporting the show via Patreon, it's okay. We appreciate the downloads over on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. But if you could, it doesn't cost anything to do. Go over to iTunes or wherever you download the podcast. Give us 5 stars. Leave a comment about the podcast and tell us how much you love it. It creates awareness and visibility for the podcast. We appreciate that. And yeah, good stuff. We appreciate you guys. And without further ado, I guess we're going to go to a word from Jesse Massey, one of our sponsors. And when we come back, we're going to go to the interview with the 2 men that are going to battle this Sunday, July 4th, Backyard Wrestling 3, only on Fight TV, Otis Cogar and his brother, Atticus Cogar. We will return to the Iron on Wrestling podcast in just a moment, but I wanted to take a couple minutes of this time to let you guys know that if you didn't realize it already, Iron on Wrestling is a DIY project. That's right, I'm recording all this myself, I'm editing it in-house all by myself, I'm coming up with the segments and the content, and I'm making sure that each and every Wednesday, by investing countless hours of my personal time, you guys have a new, unique, and entertaining episode blasting into your ear holes. So I hope you don't mind that for a few minutes each episode, you have to deal with a little bit of advertising. Because, quite frankly, I gotta pay those bills somehow. But you know, I don't just pick anyone to be an advertiser on the podcast. When I choose an advertiser for the show, I want to make sure that it's someone that can bring you, the listener, value. I often talk about Of the Dead Designs and my good buddy Juan Ortiz, who can create you a unique logo or t-shirt design for your personal brand. But once that t-shirt design is made, who's going to print it for you? Well, that's where Jesse Massey and SBS Printing comes in. Jesse is a good friend of mine, and much like me in this podcast, he's DIY. For over 10 years, Jesse has been printing t-shirts and hoodies in the comfort of his own home, and he's been the official
t-shirt printer for guys like myself, Atticus Cogar, Eddie Only, Ricky Shane Page, basically all the 440 guys. My favorite thing about Jesse Massey is the quick turnaround time. When I go to Jesse and I need a shirt design printed right away, I know that he'll have it ready for me within 3 to 5 days, sometimes even quicker. And on top of that, he's affordable. Jesse and SBS can print one color shirt designs for as low as $5. $5. Where are you going to find another deal like that? Now you're probably thinking at a price like that, there's no way these could be quality, long-lasting prints. Wrong! They're super high quality and they're going to last you a lifetime. Jesse and SBS can print you t-shirts, zip-up hoodies, sweaters, and so much more. I encourage you to hit up Jesse right now. Shoot him an email at antisepticmaxrock@gmail.com. That's ANTISEPTIC maxrock@gmail.com. With Jesse Massey and SBS, you're going to get the best. That's no BS.
Well, this is a podcast episode I didn't think I'd ever have. Atticus Cogar, Otis Cogar, both in the house. And Otis, this is your second podcast ever.
Yes, it is.
Tell us about the first one.
It happened probably 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and I was silent because I didn't talk very much back then, and my brother did all the talking. I might have one line in the whole thing.
What was the line?
It was irrelevant because I didn't talk much.
Greg, you got to start paying me for doing these because this is like the third one, and I'm tired of talking to you about stuff.
Hey, man. I paid you to edit the podcast on a regular basis when you started, okay?
Yeah, I guess. But that was so long ago that, like, all that money's gone now.
That's true. But I appreciate you guys doing this week, and it's more relevant this week than most other weeks because this Sunday, you guys are going one-on-one at Backyard Wrestling 3. But this time it's not going to be Atticus and Otis Cogar against each other. It's going to be Otis White and Dexter White one-on-one. Tell us about the setup for this match.
You want to or you want me to?
You can get started because it started with you anyways.
Okay, so we did Backyard Wrestling. I was a teenager, and I know it's kind of embarrassing, but he wasn't. He was a grown-ass man.
I was a grown man.
When you say grown man, how old are we talking?
I was probably 24.
Oh, no.
Which is as old as I am now.
Okay. Fair.
So, OTW, Ohio Trampoline Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And we had regular shows with crowds and TV tapings on a weekly
Quality
basis.
TV tapings.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Quality.
actually really good production, better than half the independents out there now.
And not
True.
bad crowds. Better than most independents.
Yeah, very
True,
true.
yeah.
I've seen the videos.
Yeah, and we were brothers in OTW, Dexter White and Otis White, and the names came from, I really liked Dexter Morgan from the show Dexter, really liked Walter White from Breaking Bad, and we grew up watching the Andy Griffith show, and one of the favorite characters was Otis, the town drunk, so that's where the Otis name came
Yeah.
from. There was Lester White, which was my grandfather's name, Lester, and there was an Atticus White, and Atticus was from To Kill a Mockingbird.
Okay. Now, you backyarding as a grown man, which it's not the worst thing ever, right? And it led you to the path of pro wrestling. What at 24 made you go, I'm going to go and try backyard wrestling?
Honestly, it was a chance to hang out with my brother because we were really close. We're still really close. But I had nothing else going on for me at the time, so I just figured I'd go hang out with some guys in the backyard, even though they were like 17, and just have some fun. And the creativeness that those guys had, even though it was just backyard wrestling, like it obviously grew into something a lot more. As you heard him say, the production was pretty good, and
Yeah.
it obviously led to bigger and better things down the road. So it was just a fun time.
Well, we've had Atticus on the show in the past, and we've sort of talked about the path he went down to get to pro wrestling. So you start in backyard wrestling at 24 years of age, and we know that Atti loved wrestling growing up, and I would imagine that's a thing that you were into as well.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the first time you saw wrestling and what that did for you.
I probably saw it on TV at some point, but it was honestly went over to my uncle's house and my cousins were playing WWF Attitude on N64, and it was on their big screen tube TV, and he's like, "Oh, this is the greatest thing ever," and I was just intrigued. But the first real time I ever thought this is the coolest thing ever. My friend bought some WCW wrestlers to school. It was like the giant with the grip hand. It came with the little Rey Mysterio.
Yep.
And Goldberg.
The vibrating Sting.
Well, that was what made me. I saw Sting, and I'm like, that's it. That's
It wasn't the
coolest.
vibration feature?
No,
that
it
you were
wasn't the
doing?
vibration thing. No,
I think
just
it was.
regular Sting. It wasn't the vibrating part.
Got him.
But true story, the vibrating Sting was my very first action figure.
Wow.
I still have it. It still works to this day.
Yeah. Still use it all the time.
Yeah.
I never understood the vibration thing. I think the idea was the wrestlers could look like they're angry, but did it need to be a vibration feature?
Super weird.
It's super weird, especially when their arms were pointed and it was real weird.
Yeah, weird,
Not good.
Weird move.
So the Sting action figure is one of the things that set this fandom off for you. What are your first memories of actually seeing wrestling on TV? What stands out for you?
Probably, honestly, just catching it on Raw. Catching Raw, watching Nitro, just catching it on TV, finding ways to actually watch it, because now that I knew what it was, actually wanting to see what it was actually about, and then just kind of spiraled out of control from there, and just watch it. Try to watch it every Monday. When SmackDown started, I watched it, started watching SmackDown. So,
Who were your favorites?
Undertaker, Sting. It was the 90s era, so I was definitely into The Rock.
Sure.
Stone Cold. But then I started getting the fuzzy channels on the TV, and I could catch some ECW every
We know
once
all
in a
about
while.
them fuzzy channels.
Okay.
But honestly, Rhino, love Rhino.
Yeah. Same.
It's honestly, he's kind of a bucket list guy for me.
Yeah?
Yeah. If somebody out there can make it happen, I've been in. I know he does a lot of work with Crimson and the Skull and Bones up in Toledo. I've already put that in Crimson's ear. So.
You ever talked to Rhino?
No, I never met him.
He's an awesome guy. I love talking to Rhino, and I love wrestling him. And he's, I was a big fan of Rhino growing up too, especially the end of ECW. And then when he was in WWE, he had this feud with Benoit, and I was real into it and everything. I just always loved his style. But car rides with Rhino, avoid them if you can.
Okay.
He will make
I've
them
heard-
uncomfortable for you.
I've heard some things. So.
Yeah, but you versus Rhino, I can see that being a cool match. But I would imagine that your love for wrestling, Otis, is what got you into it, Atti, right? That's
for
how
sure.
you get exposed to it, because he's watching it.
I don't remember ever not being into wrestling, because he's 6 years older than me. So by the time I was born, I was pretty much just born into liking wrestling.
Well, you put that vignette up for the backyard show, and
Yeah.
I always get kind of jealous because there's not a lot of footage of me as a kid, and specifically liking wrestling. There's this one video of me that I've shared before on social media where I was at. You guys went to Kiddie Park before, right?
Yeah.
It's in a place in Cleveland, a little amusement park that's been around for years, and I had a clown paint my face like the Ultimate Warrior. My brother Mike got balloons painted on his face or some shit, and the lady's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "Ultimate Warrior face paint," and she's like, "I don't know what that is." And luckily, I was an okay artist, so I was able to draw it for her, and then she put it on my face, and so I'm thankful to have that. But you posted this video of you two wrestling around, and that's a legitimate video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of videos like that from when you guys were younger?
There's probably more.
Yeah.
They're just hidden somewhere in a closet. But yeah, there's definitely more videos out there.
Yeah, my dad would constantly film everything.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I don't know, we'd have to dig through stuff and find it.
For sure.
Well, it's just one of those things where now everything can get filmed because we have cameras at all times. But I feel like, I don't know, coming from that generation, I feel like there's got to be a deeper appreciation for being able to have those memories at your disposal, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Other than wrestling, are there any cool or interesting or funny videos from when you guys were kids that spring to mind?
I mean, there was times where when you started getting into the newer generation, like filming, there's probably videos of me and him just filming each other doing the stupidest things.
Like what?
I had a cheese stick. It started to get warm. I don't like warm cheese, so I put it in the air conditioner. That's a video that
What?
That
comes
actually
to mind.
exists.
Yeah. There's the Drink from Hell, which was like, and you got to know I got sensory issues, so I don't do this, but I was behind the camera.
I didn't do it either. We made every other friend that came over do it.
It was just a bunch of concoction. It was a big concoction of a bunch of stuff that was in our kitchen, and we made them drink it.
Like everything from like ketchup to like baking powder to maybe not baking powder, but chili powder. It was definitely one of
literally everything.
Yeah, if you open up your fridge and it's in there, it was probably in this coffee mug.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like Jackass style videos of us just doing really stupid things, like
I love that.
jumping into like bushes from roofs and just weird stuff.
We've always had a trampoline in our backyard, which is probably where the OTW Backyard Wrestling thing stemmed from. But there's a lot of videos of us just throwing each other off trampolines and wrestling on trampolines too.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. Now, Atticus, you bring up your sensory issues. You're a picky eater. I don't know if we went in depth about that when you were on the show.
I don't remember.
But we always fuck with you on the road about it.
Yes.
And you're super picky. But Otis, you don't have an issue with like eating, right? Like, do you find it strange that I don't mean that in a fucking. Wait, we do?
it's the worst. Yeah, I do.
You both do?
We both do, yeah.
How did I not know this?
He eats a little bit more than me, but barely.
But like when we go out to like restaurants and we order like the chicken tenders and fries, we decide, we swap chicken tenders to see like which one is the better and like.
Yeah, because I don't like thick meat.
Okay.
So he does, so we switch.
Okay,
We
so
trade.
wait. Now hold on. Now, Otis, I'm going to get your opinion on this in a second. I've been realizing this with you now that you're mentioning that. So when we go out to eat, you get a lot of the same stuff.
Yes.
And your go-to is like chicken tenders and fries.
Yes.
And some places, the chicken tenders, according to you, are better than others.
Yes.
What is the key to a good chicken tender?
For me, I don't like thick meat because it's okay. Like honestly,
Sure.
it's too much. It's too much to chew. I like I like it to be crispy and like thin, like not a lot of meat.
Okay.
Like Dairy Queen, great chicken strips.
Those are the best
like,
ones.
They're like
No, absolutely not.
they're not the best
No.
ones.
Wait, what
I
are they?
think Fathead's Brewery, which a lot of people aren't going to really know about,
It's an Ohio thing, Cleveland
Yeah.
thing, essentially.
they have the best ones.
Okay. Now,
Red Robin, people know about Red Robin, right?
Yeah,
that's
Red
like
Robin.
everyone.
yeah, but I'm not a fan of Red Robin.
See,
It's one of those things like
know
when,
what you're talking about.
when Ricky always wants to go to like Ruby Tuesdays. I'm just like
Yeah,
like
see,
Red
I
Robin
don't
and
mess
Ruby
with Ruby
Tuesdays. I'm like,
Tuesdays.
See, there was a
why do I
Ruby
wanna go
Tuesdays
there?
by us when we were growing up, and like we went there once, and it was just like a no-go. For
Trash.
Straight trash.
I'm not a fan.
Yeah, straight trash.
I'm not. So, Otis, for you, what is the ideal chicken tender?
I'm like a real meat kind of guy. Like, real
He's
meat.
gotta have that thing.
yeah, he loves the thick meat, man.
It's a real meat,
Sure.
But like you said, Dairy Queen, that's where it's at.
Yeah.
If you're going for like a quick, you gotta stop and get a strip somewhere, Dairy Queen is where it's at.
I don't think you've had Whataburger, but me, Greg, and Ricky went to Texas, and I had it. Literally the exact same thing as Dairy Queen. Comes with the bread and everything. So
Okay. So this fucking guy Atticus, he doesn't eat hamburgers. Are you the same way?
Yeah, don't touch it.
What the fuck, man? Okay, so all right. So I guess let's make this easier. How are you different than Atticus in terms of your eating habits?
See, I don't eat a burger, but I'll eat like ground meat in things like spaghetti or like I actually like I like a steak. I'll eat a steak.
Okay.
tacos.
Like I'll eat it in tacos, like
Okay.
burritos and things like that. He's very picky in terms of like what he eats and just sticks to those. I'm married now, so like she makes me try new things. So,
But that didn't happen until just over the past couple of years.
Yeah. I didn't eat. Yeah, there's a lot of things that I eat now because I've tried more things. But I'm still very picky. Like I still stick to my pizza and chicken strips and pizza. That's about it.
Okay. Well, so you know, in Atticus, I never thought about this until you. The whole texture thing, because my brother Mike grew up a picky eater too, and I think I've mentioned it to you, Atti. Like, his whole thing was he would eat noodles but no sauce on them, and I always thought that was
I'm the
weird
same
as
way.
fuck. That's so strange. to me,
Butter
but
and salt only.
that's just like what Mike
See,
does.
I can do sauce. I like mac and cheese and pasta sauce and stuff.
Okay,
but-
what's so then Mike's thing was he didn't like chocolate, so candy bar, nothing like that, but he would eat M&Ms all day long, which is fucking chocolate.
Yeah, that's a weird move.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's just strange.
It's not like a color thing or anything, but like basically if it's green, I don't like it. I've legitimately
What?
if it's green or if it like grows out of the ground, with the exception of like a potato, I guess, I hate it all. I don't know. I tried it all.
Wow. So, like, I find this food thing very compelling. So, growing up, and you know, I'm sure you quickly realize that you guys are picky eaters. How do you know what you want to try and what not to try? I don't know, how do you navigate this? Because I was just down for anything when I was a kid. I was like, I'll try it, and if it fucking sucks, I'll never eat it again.
So I think the main reason that I'm a picky eater is because I was never forced to eat anything I didn't want to, and I also never really had dinner made for me.
Okay.
So I always had to like figure it out.
Yeah.
And like I'm not saying I didn't have food in the house, I did, but it was always like pizza rolls or a hot pocket or ramen noodles. So I just always stuck to those things, and I never realized that I mean, like I knew like, yeah, I didn't eat burgers and stuff, but I never realized that I was a super picky eater until I started like traveling and getting around all of you guys.
Okay.
And then you guys like losing it when you would hear that I didn't eat burgers and I only eat chicken and fries.
Same. Like until I started like going out to eat like as an adult and going out and doing things and realizing that I looked for things that would probably be just on the kids menu, that I realized that I'm just as bad.
Super weird. I mean, it's not weird. You guys, you are what you are, and I'm okay with it. I accept you guys for
appreciate
that.
that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, now, again, on the previous episodes, Atticus, we've sort of delved into your backstory and what you were like growing up as a kid. And Otis, we've sort of touched on your childhood a little bit with Atti here. As you get older, though, in like middle school, high school, what kind of kid are you? What sort of things are you into? Because we know that Atticus was he got in with the wrong crowd, maybe.
Yeah.
So what were you like?
I was just a very closeted kid. I wasn't like, didn't run with a huge crew. Had a couple friends, you know, but I kind of just stuck to myself. Listened through on my headphones, you know. I was probably your stereotypical like goth kid in school, but I didn't wear eyeliner. I just kind of just to myself.
I feel like I was that same type of kid. So when you're throwing on your headphones, what were you listening to at this time period?
I was heavy in the Mudvayne.
I did love Mudvayne.
Which, if you notice, the song "Dig" is the song that plays when all the backyard footage is being shown.
Oh,
Yeah, see?
okay. Little
See?
Easter eggs. I love how you think of all these things, Atti.
Tugging at the heartstrings.
Great.
Yeah.
So Mudvayne, what else?
Mudvayne. I was real into like what's considered like butt rock these days.
Yes,
you know,
yeah,
your dad rock. So if it's on like a now, that's what I call dad rock CD. I'd probably
They should definitely make those.
No,
I'm
what I
telling you
call
right
dad
now,
rock.
It's,
That's great.
That exists now. It's on Spotify. Swear to God.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like, Corn,
Mushroom
Head for
Cleveland.
sure.
Yep, same.
Yeah, Mushroom Head is huge Mushroom Head fan.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of stuff.
Otis, what was your first concert?
Mushroom Head.
Okay. Where was that?
It was at the Fantasy in Lakewood.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was like 16 probably. It was a Halloween show. It's probably the first time I ever felt like real like live music. I mean, you went to like concerts as a kid, but like first time you ever feel like the bass hit your chest and like it's an experience for sure.
Yeah. As an angsty kid growing up, going to those concerts and hearing that butt rock live and in person, it did something for me. It was definitely an escape, other than my escape for wrestling. Now, your love for wrestling, does it ever subside as you're getting older, like middle school, high school? It's always just kind of there.
It's always, it's pretty much always there.
Like you never took a break or anything?
No, I never really took a break. It was always it's always kind of been there, like all the way up until we really started training. Like it's just always been like a consistent. Always watch SmackDown, always watch Raw. I got into the Indies, CZW and things as I got older, but it's always been there.
So, since you got into the game of training late, as you're becoming an adult, what were your, I guess, career goals? Like, where did you think your life was going to end up as far as what you were going to do for the rest of your life?
Honestly, I didn't really know. I didn't really know what I was going to get into when we first started doing it. I remember, the story is that we did a show and Ricky was at the show. Ricky came and saw us put on this, what he thought was actually like a, pretty good show, and said that we should do it legitimately.
Which is also the footage that is shown in the backyard vignette.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was the show that Ricky came and was like, "Hey, you guys need to come train."
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. There's it's obviously edited out because there's music playing, but there's a spot where I definitely you could hear Ricky mark out for seeing me do a backflip.
Oh
And
yeah.
What did
you
you
hear
do?
him really
Yeah.
loud?
What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he just
it's
was
funny.
like, I did a backflip and I missed. It's in the footage.
Okay.
But, I did a backflip and he's like, "Oh, no way!" And pops huge.
That's awesome.
And then he does it. But
I'll send it to you so you can advertise this podcast with it.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Thank you. Now, so I want to delve into getting into the training aspect, but before I do that, I want to sort of circle back to, I'm the big brother, and you're the big brother too.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when my little brothers get into some dumb shit, maybe they're not doing the things that I think they should be doing, I want to be a protective brother, even though I fuck with them and whatever, because I'm the older brother. That's what I do. I also want to protect them. At what point do you find out Atticus is maybe doing shit he isn't supposed to be doing, and what's your reaction to this whole thing? Because you obviously, you're more reserved and you don't have as many friends, so it's like, what's your perspective on the whole situation? How do you come to your brother's aid while all this is going on?
One significant moment was he's at a party. He was with some friends. I think he had a girlfriend at the time, but I roll up to this party where it's supposed to be a bunch of kids, they're all like 14, 15, and it's some party and they're just hanging out. It's not like he's probably not even having a good time, because I rolled up and I find him behind the building and
Terrified.
yeah.
What were you doing behind the building, Atticus?
Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. So it's that bad.
Yeah. I roll up and everybody's freaking out. Meanwhile, like I said, it's 15-year-olds, and this mom comes out freaking out because she knows that him and his friends are supposed to be she's supposed to be chaperoning. Meanwhile, he goes off and starts, the girl at the party starts freaking out on him. All like a swarm of just all sorts of different kids just start running out, swarming him and yelling at him that you should be inside, you're going to get my mom in trouble, because it's like, for whatever reason, it's midnight. And he starts going off about, well, there's all this, you guys are in there all making out, drinking. There's probably some kind of drugs going on at this party.
And they're around 15.
Yeah,
Jesus
the entire
Christ.
party. It's definitely like an early high school party, and I roll up. I got a text message that says, there's some shady stuff going on at this party, and I roll up and I find him getting swarmed by these people, and he's not looking too innocent in anything. So I yelled at the top of my lungs, "Get in the car, we're leaving," and I take him home, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So I wanna reiterate. He yelled at the top of his lungs, but he also got out of this car, grabbed me like I was like a folder like you carry in school, like on your side,
Like a straight up mannequin.
Okay.
and dragged me to this car.
Jeez. Wow. Oh, but that's what a big brother's got to do, though, right?
Yeah, we fought on the way home. Like there was a point where like he tried to jump out of the car, and I grabbed him by the belt and
ripped my pants.
ripped his pants, and I dragged him with my car.
Yeah, he floored it. So
What?
my legs are hanging out of the car because so
Wait,
we
why
were,
did you think it was a good idea to try to jump out of the
we
fucking
were
car?
because it was stopped. We were arguing. I reached over and smacked him,
Right across
but I
the face.
knew that he was gonna. I knew that he was gonna swing back, so I tried to jump out as fast as I could. I turned completely sideways, 90 degrees, and he grabbed my belt. And I don't remember where we were, if the light turned green or what, but he grabbed my belt and started going and was
Oh,
just dragging me and pulled me
Don't-
back in.
Yeah, don't smack me.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, so I mean, obviously, you guys have always been close, but would you say like maybe this time period was sort of like when you guys were at the most odds, Otis?
Probably. I mean, it was strained, but we.
Our
obviously-
mom was also really sick at this time
True,
too, like
yeah.
in the
A
hospital
lot
for
of-
over
lot
a
of-
year.
A lot of just emotional stress going on in our lives.
Yeah.
You know, this is I'm trying to think of like how old I was at this point, but it's like a lot of my mom being sick. You know, dad, he's trying to provide. I'm of age where I'm got my own job, but I'm just trying to survive on my own. You know, like if I'm doing try to do the college thing, it didn't really work. Like I said, it just kind of kept to myself, and then I'm seeing this kid, you know, not doing very well, and that's all I'm worried about, you know. But you know, after that like situation, like things just changed. It was like I don't want to use it. I don't know if this is the correct term to use, but like a coming to Jesus moment, you know, like
Except I didn't come to Jesus.
No.
Sure.
No, that's weird.
Yeah, that's a weirdo shit, bro.
Yeah. Like, wow. Oh, you love Jesus. Like, oh God. So, Otis, what was the? You don't know an exact moment that might have changed that.
It was probably me pulling him out of the situation that, like, it was. I don't want to say it was like he realized what was going on with him, but
Yeah.
it was like he turned to me and just entrusted me to just be with him, and he like put his trust in me, and we bonded over just wanting to spend time with each other and do everything. We honestly did a lot together. There was a point in time where the friends I did have, I didn't hang out with because I hung out with him, and vice versa, you know.
Yeah.
We just we bonded. I mean, wrestling, music, you know, us just trying to take care of each other because my mom was sick and stuff like that. Like, just being there for each other is what made us stronger.
I've mentioned it to you guys before when you were over the house, and I don't know if you guys remember it, but I remember just seeing you guys talk and the camaraderie that you two have, and just it gets me kind of jealous because sometimes I don't feel like I have the best relationship with my brothers,
Right.
and I don't really ever. I don't want to say I don't want to spend time with my brothers, but we don't really have that strong of a bond or things that we have similar interest in. Like, I mean, obviously Zach likes wrestling, but he's so hard-headed, so we're at odds about it. You know,
Yeah.
we're on the same page. But you guys, I feel like wrestling sort of, you know, among other things, but wrestling sort of kept you guys tight-knit.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%.
One of those things that I think really made you guys unique and different once you guys start training and you start branching out and getting on shows. You know, we alluded to you guys doing the family videos as kids. At what point do you both get interested in producing your own videos? Because right from the beginning, even when you guys were maybe not doing all the things that your trainer Ricky Shane Page thought you guys should be doing, I feel like you guys had great ideas when it came to self-promotion and creating the video. So where does that come into play for you guys?
A big part of it was because we were kind of having a falling out with Ricky at the time. We didn't have anyone to turn to. Maybe Joe Dombrowski, but like we were just getting to know him.
Yeah.
So we didn't really have anybody to turn to. So it's like, okay, what can we do to get our names out there and to get people to notice us since we don't have the help of our trainer?
Yeah.
So that's when, I mean, and even in the backyard, like we were doing all those videos all the time. I was skateboarded, so we were also doing a bunch of skate videos all the time. So me and him both went to school for graphic design. So, and we also learned, video design as well. So we've always been interested in that. It was just a matter of how we could apply it to what we were doing.
That's interesting because, Otis, I didn't know you had that same background.
Yeah, the stuff that you see me produce now that we're kind of doing things. I'm kind of riding solo, doing the singles run. Stuff that you see I come out with video wise, or even graphic, photos and things like that I post on my social media. Like, it's all stuff that I do.
Yeah.
Occasional we'll collaborate on something, but it was something that I kind of introduced him to the video world when I started doing it, and then obviously he's ran like crazy with it, and he did almost every single one, if not all of the videos that we did in our initial tag run and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you both are obviously very creative, and Atti, I work a lot with you when it comes to you making these videos and stuff because, we're in 440 together and stuff.
Right.
But Otis, those early days, and I guess now too, when it comes to ideas as part of the tag team or ideas for the video, like what came from your brain in that scenario?
Truthfully, a lot of it, if you're talking like early days, there's a lot of collaborating. I mean, especially when it came to like how do we promote ourselves. We both at the time we both worked for print shops, as a regular job. So we were learning about how to put together different flyers and, if we're putting together merch, how to put a cool sign to like promote ourselves at the merch tables. And, when it came to social media, editing photos, just keeping the same vibe all the way through. Like if it looks a certain way in the beginning and we're trying to put off a certain image, it all looks the same, consistently.
Sure. No,
yeah,
that's
very
makes sense.
passionate about putting stuff out there that we would like even with our merch, excluding 440. When it comes to the Cogar Brothers or just like my merch, I only try to come out with stuff that like I would wear or that I like.
That makes sense.
And like it just came out with like those trucker hats, and like people are like, "Oh, come out with the dad hats. They're gonna sell great." And like I'm not saying that I never will, but I don't wear dad hats, so
right.
It's just not like my thing. So he's always been part of like the self-promotion, and I've always been real into the creative aspect of what the self-promotion is.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That makes sense. One of the things that set you guys apart early on was the creation of the masks that you guys came to the ring with, which, look, masks have been a thing in wrestling for a long time, and over the last decade or so, everyone comes out with a mask.
Right.
But when you guys were doing it, I mean, they looked like expensive masks. So talk to me about the backstory of coming up with your unique look with the mask.
So we had like the whole gimmick, and I mean it kind of was a gimmick, kind of wasn't, where we were quote unquote uncomfortable in our own skin.
Yes.
So we started wearing the skin masks, and we tried to base them off of people that we hated in our life. And I think the biggest problem with trying to get these masks made and what made them so expensive was they had to be silicone, because Otis is allergic to latex rubber,
Okay.
which almost every mask is made out of nowadays. But he also has a million other allergies that nobody knows about. So why don't you tell people about your allergies?
See, I have no allergies, and I'm very thankful for that. So that's got to be a bitch to have so many allergies, Otis.
It's the latex one's the biggest one. It's like if people want to know the real term, it's like an anaphylactic allergy where I like stop breathing, I swell up.
That's not good at all.
Yeah,
I could never go to Chuck E. Cheese as a kid because of this dude.
I
could never have latex WWF action figures because of this dude.
You son of a bitch.
Listen, I didn't do it. All right,
I
could have easily had
I was like
those,
13 when I first touched a balloon because of him.
Dude, I was 3 and almost died. What do you want me to do?
He makes a good
Literally
point, though.
went to the
Fair.
emergency room 'cause I
Fair.
almost died at our grandpa's birthday.
Oh, no.
All right.
That's terrifying.
I have a lot of other like food allergies. They're not as bad since I've, now that I'm older, but like eggs, couldn't have it. I've never eaten an egg my entire life. Like I would just a straight up egg. So like the idea of getting like protein from an egg, because everybody in weightlifting or wrestling or just everybody's always eating eggs. Never done it. Just the smell of eggs makes me want to throw up these days.
Wow.
Don't even like it. I'm allergic to peaches, like the actual peach. Allergic to sunflower seeds. That was a random one because I like the good sunflower seed. I got a lot of like airborne allergies.
Okay.
That like knock me out like during like real bad like allergy seasons. Like the summer. Like I wake up and my eyes just don't even want to open. So
Oh God,
it's
that's
miserable. Claritin is like my best friend.
That sounds about right. That's really terrible.
Yeah.
One thing that I was thinking about that is very, it's synonymous with the Cogar Brothers, is the pig. And I don't think we've talked about this, Atti, in the past. Otis, where does that idea come from for having a pig represent you guys?
It kind of represents brotherhood. That's basically what we've always stood by. Plus, it kind of stems from some other backstory history of it. Is it's kind of a symbol for bad luck. So
it was just a sketch in my sketchbook when I was a teenager.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then
it's always been like a thing. Like when I was a kid, I always had I always like pigs. It was just a thing.
Yeah.
Fuck the police as well.
Sure.
I mean, honestly, especially like at the age that I was when I got into wrestling.
Yeah.
That was my main mentality. Now I kind of just play off of it because, everybody's obsessed with, fuck the police. So I just put it on merch and people buy it. But, especially when I was like 17, 18, that was my main mentality.
That was just something that I liked. It was like pigs. It was a cool thing. But
He did. He always had like pig stuffed animals as a kid.
Yeah.
And like pig everything. There's probably a full tote box full of just pig stuff.
That's pretty funny. What is your all-time favorite pig in pop culture?
Pig in pop culture.
Yeah.
I mean, I was always a fan of Looney Tunes.
Okay.
Porky's a pretty good one.
Love that.
Porky's a good one.
What about Hampton from Tiny Toons?
I mean, Hampton's good. Yeah,
Hell yeah.
It's been a long
That's what
time
I'm
since I watched
talking
Tiny Toons, but Hampton, straight up.
What about Babe?
Oh, Babe, yeah. That's
Like
always
Babe?
good. Babe. I mean, I was never a Gordy fan. You ever watch Gordy?
Yeah, I've
Gordy
seen
was like the knockoff.
Yeah, but it's all about Babe.
Yeah. What about like Charlotte's Web?
I'm okay with Charlotte's Web.
Yeah. Like the old cartoon version of it?
Yeah.
The movie was terrible.
No, not good.
Yeah.
What about Miss Piggy?
You ever watch any of those movies? All Kermit ever talks about is the fact that she's sleeping around. You ever watch any of those?
But I watched the new Muppet Show with Johnny Gargano because, of course, this is a thing that we would watch. And you know what? It's pretty good. But there's a lot of things that I feel like because of cancel culture, you just can't have the Muppets do anymore. So there's some awkward moments on the show.
Is this like Disney Plus stuff?
It is Disney
I
Plus.
haven't watched that yet.
So would you be interested in watching it? Is that a thing that you would watch?
Yeah. I'll
Because
watch
the bit that we love on there the most is can't remember his name, the chef. He got the big mustache.
Chef.
What's his name? Is it just Chef?
I'm pretty sure it's just Chef.
Okay.
If it's something else. I've never called him. But
Well, he's got bits on the show where it's just we were crying laughing, and maybe it was that funny, or maybe we're just immature as fuck. But I suggest you go watch this Muppet Show.
All right.
I ain't gonna watch it.
You're not gonna watch it?
No.
What was your favorite Muppet movie?
I can't remember the one with. This is gonna be obvious. The one where Hogan makes a cameo.
Okay,
Right.
come
Yeah.
on.
Muppet Treasure Island. That was where.
Oh yeah, that's a great one. That's
Yeah.
probably the best one.
Muppet
actually.
Treasure Island. That was it. For me.
Isn't there the one where they go to Manhattan or whatever? They got that
Yeah,
one.
there was that one.
Yeah, I mean, I always like the miniature version. So like Looney Tunes, and then I like Tiny Toons, Muppet Babies.
Yeah,
that's where
I
it
had
was
the
at
VHS. I
for me.
watched it all the time.
Hell
There was like
yeah.
one VHS that I had a Muppet Babies, and I watched it, and then then DVDs became a thing, and I just we got rid of our VCR for some reason, and I never got a chance to ever watch it again.
What the heck? Very unfortunate. Well, so we talk about how the pig is sort of synonymous with you guys, but I feel like since you guys went your own separate ways, especially Otis with the stuff you've been doing at No Peace, the pig is sort of more synonymous with you now. So talk to me about how that becomes a thing for you at No Peace Underground.
It was honestly a pitch where that came from. It's still still very much a representation of the Cogar Brothers, but I definitely took that over. The idea was I pitched the idea, and it was also pitched to me. Going back and forth with ideas on like what's a good way to have me stand out, and we the idea of a pig face came out. We wear the masks, so I got skin mask. Well, let's do like something with a pig face because it's all over our merch. I collaborated with Jared from No Peace and came up with the idea to do a skinned pig head on people that lose to me.
Absolutely disgusting.
Gross.
And 100% it's real. So
It smells awful.
Cause that's the thing, because I think people question whether it's real or not. So
it's
you're saying
absolutely real.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's really gross.
Different one every time.
Yes.
It's real.
Okay, so where does one get a pig head? I mean, I feel like the obvious would be some sort of farm or something. But what's the process look like? Day of the show, we got to find a fucking pig head.
We can't talk about it actually.
It's a little
The
secret.
place
for
where we
real?
get it has asked not to talk about it.
Yeah.
Oh God,
Yeah.
It's a little
it's
rough.
that serious.
Yeah. I mean it's kind of messed up.
So how many times have you put a pig head on someone now?
Probably 3 or 4 times. I haven't done No Peace. I just started doing No Peace just in the last few months since the beginning of 2021.
Has there ever been any resistance from having the pig head put on an individual?
I can say that I faced Bam Sullivan WrestleMania weekend in Tampa, and he just happened to be getting over a cold, so he didn't have much of a smell. But he was like, I would rather you just like carve up my forehead than put a pig head on me. But he said he couldn't smell anything, so he was fine.
Well, see, because I'm trying to put myself in that position, and I'd like to think because in the moment, wrestling, I feel like I do stuff that I would never do in real life. I mean, I feel like we're all that way.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to get in that frame of mind, because if Jake the Snake Roberts wants to put a snake on me, I feel that's different than cutting open a snake and then laying it over my face. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feel like it's just a little grosser. Is there like a cleaning process at all before this
to
pig?
be fair, there is a little bit of a cleaning process. So you're not covered in like pig's blood.
Well, I will say the one at Murder Mania that you almost put on Nolan, I'm
Right.
pretty sure that was pretty bloody.
We tried to. I'm a hair respectful as far as like keeping it on ice, because I got to be able to want to touch it too.
Sure.
So I mean, it's gross. So we try to keep it on some form of ice. But the one at Murder Mania, I wasn't the one who handled it before the match, and it was a little extra bloody, and it was a little rare, and it was a little gross.
Yeah, that shit was nasty.
So I know this is still sort of new for you, where you put the pig on people's faces, but maybe this is something that you can take into consideration. It makes me think of, when Rikishi would do the stink face to people. You always hear these stories about how, if he liked you, he made sure he had a clean pair of trunks before he rubbed his ass all up in your face. And then if he didn't, well, he had this pair of gear that he hadn't washed in months, and then he's wearing that for the match, and it's not going to be the best scenario. So do you think there's ever going to be a case where you're going to request an extra bloody, disgusting pig?
Possibly.
That you got to put on something?
Possibly. You'll find out. You'll know the next time somebody's got a really bloody pig head on their face.
That's very true.
You'll find out.
Very discussion. Now, like you took a break for a little bit from wrestling.
I did.
What was the reason for that?
I was I had a very strong relationship with my girlfriend at the time. We were, trying to move up and move out and be an adult, so to speak. But during that time, I went and became an adult at the age of 27. But we went and I got married. So that was good. We got married on Halloween in a cemetery.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Corny.
Hey, tell me other people to get married in a cemetery.
Sorry. Yeah.
Hey man, you do what you gotta do,
Yeah.
He made me miss Matt Tremont's last match.
Hey.
Yeah, but you didn't care about that.
You're right.
You're causing
Fuck
havoc
you,
in
Matt
his life now.
Tremont.
See, there you go. But I mean, so the marriage is going well. Taking that time off was definitely worth it for your relationship.
Had I not done that, we may not be together today. I can honestly say that. It was definitely a growing experience to take the time off. Even though I took time off, I still went to a lot of wrestling shows. Still went to Mania weekend with him, and when I was in Jersey. Still traveled when I could, but keeping it a priority was not a thing at that time.
Sure.
But the marriage is going great.
Good.
You know.
Now, as you're watching from the sidelines, you take this time off and you're seeing how Atticus is sort of growing and flourishing within wrestling. How does that make you feel? Like, obviously, I would imagine you're proud for him, but at the same time, internally, are you missing it? Are you longing to go back?
Straight up jealous.
Yeah.
Straight up jealous. He knows that. But it's, like you said, beyond proud of him. I think when the conversation to come back started around the time that he debuted for GCW. It was during the Halloween time. That was when talks of like wanting to come back around that time. I just played it off my wife, played it off him, talked to some promoters, and made it happen. And I came back at a show where he had won the heavyweight championship, and got to do a run in, and it was in front of my family, that was there watching him. So it was like got to see him win this belt, and then all of a sudden off the barricade had a big like brotherly moment with him and the rest of the guys that were involved in the match. So it was a good deal.
Hell yeah, I love that. Now, how important would you say is the support of your wife when it came to coming back to the ring? Because sometimes, and I'm sure you've probably been in the situation before. Sometimes I've been in relationships where it's hard for the girl to understand pro wrestling. It is a weird thing. Obviously, this has always been something you're passionate about, you love so strongly. You walked away to make this relationship better. So talk to me about the importance of your wife having your back when it came to making the decision to come back to the ring.
It's definitely important. I mean, without her support, there would probably be a strain between us, because she probably, if she had told me that she didn't want me to come back, probably would have affected me and her in the long run, because she knew that it was something very, very important to me. When I walked away in the beginning, it was very hard. You can ask him. It was a little tug at the heartstrings, honestly. It was real hard to walk away, but it was for the best. I enjoyed the time away. Me and her grew as a couple, as partners, and when it came back around that I really wanted to get back in, I had talked about not getting back in until after I got married. I didn't get married until this past Halloween, which was 2020. I didn't think I'd come back before then. I thought I would take 2 years off. But it was too much of an itch. I had to get back in there. She understood. It started off with a couple bookings, nothing major, just to see how things were gonna be, and she was all about it. She gets a little bummed if I go on like long weekend trips or something, or if traveling without her, but she also gets to go, she gets to go on some of those trips,
Yeah.
whether she drives herself with some other friends or something, or she comes with. So she's definitely the biggest supporter, for sure.
So over on Patreon, we just had a little bit of an exclusive conversation where we talked about the third Cogar brother and some ideas that may or may not have made it in front of the screen with the Cogar brothers. But now I want to get back to the subject at hand, sort of start wrapping this up. Sunday, July 4th, Atticus versus Otis, Dexter versus Otis, the Whites going at it against each other. Otis, this isn't officially a GCW per se, GCW event, but it's under the GCW banner. Mm-hmm. Would you say this is the biggest opportunity of your career?
100%. Yeah. With it being under a GCW banner, it's whether you would consider it a home show or just a side show. There's a lot of eyes going to be on there. A lot of people watching from home, and there's important people going to be in the locker room, for sure watching this.
He says almost as much as the actual Undertaker.
As soon as you started saying that,
God.
I was like, yeah. You ever see those compilation videos of Undertaker?
Maybe I've watched it a few times. But absolutely. It's definitely going to be a big opportunity for me.
Well, with this being your biggest opportunity, what does it mean to have that opportunity with your brother?
Honestly, it means everything. We had a lot of firsts together. There was a lot of first opportunities when we first started. some of the bigger companies we got a chance to work for. Some, being on the first streaming service, our first time ever getting to be streamed somewhere, whether it was through the company's own network or IWTV or something like that. There was. Now you have me thinking about him saying that. Now that's all I can think of.
I also think this is a big opportunity for him because I obviously can't say this for sure, but in my opinion, I think that I was always looked at as one of Ricky's little henchmen until the Backyard show. I faced Facade, and we did that huge bump out of whatever you call that thing, a bulldozer, threw up flaming 2 doors, and it was 20 feet high. And that's when I first noticed that, like, people started taking me seriously on my own. So I feel like this is the same kind of opportunity for him, even though it's like Kane and The Undertaker and it's kind of hokey.
I don't think it's hokey. I mean, listen, I like that you guys incorporated something that was super important to your respective childhoods. You grew up on that.
Yeah.
Obviously, Atti, you love Kane. Otis, you love Undertaker. I mean, brother versus brother. I'm into it. I don't think it's hokey. Plus, I'm using the art from Tom's Customs for this fucking episode anyways, because I was like...
Which was sick. He made that in like 20 minutes.
It looks awesome. I wrote Tom, and I was like, yo, can I use this? Like, we love what you do, and I would just like to borrow this. He's like, absolutely. So shout out to Tom's Customs.
For sure.
He's the fucking man. But, listen, I appreciate you guys taking time to talk with me today and just share your stories together. I'm looking forward to July 4th watching the Backyard show. I know you guys are going to kill it. Hopefully you don't kill each other for real. But we'll see what happens.
We probably will.
Might get a little crazy because, when you go at it with your friend or your brother, it gets a little more extreme at times.
Our parents are worried.
My wife is very
Paul Bear's worried.
Paul Bear, yeah. He's shaking.
It's going to be fine, and I'm going to watch it for sure. But before we end this, I usually ask everyone what inspires you, but I want to ask it in a different way. Otis, what inspires you about your brother?
What inspires me about him is seeing the literal drive and determination that he has. He's never stopped being as creative as he was when we first started, and he just pushes his limits every single time. Seeing that compared to what some people do that's inspiring. It pushes me to put myself out there. I've always been kind of the shelled and quiet person in wrestling and for my personal life. He's definitely inspires me to put myself out there a lot more, have a little bit more faith in myself, for sure.
In Atticus, what inspires you about Otis?
Seeing how far he's come since he's first started, showing that, coming from essentially nothing at such an older age, no offense, having no plans, no goals, coming into this, and kind of putting everything that he had into it with no plan, just kind of throwing it at the wall, kind of inspires me to, I guess, not be scared to try new things without, necessarily having a goal behind them, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. It gets me a little emotional when I hear you say that, and I feel like the best way to end this is just to ask you also, Atticus, how do I inspire you? And is Otis jealous of our best friendship that has grown over the past
Absolutely. year? Yeah. I didn't start doing anything in wrestling until I switched over from Otis to Gregory Iron.
Getting misty-eyed.
Yeah. You inspire me to not be such a dumbass, because you're real stupid sometimes, and you don't have the ability to do a lot for yourself, not because of your hand, but because of how fucking stupid you are.
Okay. Well.
So you inspire me to do my absolute best, because you never do.
Okay, well, you made this awkward.
I mean, I agree.
You made it awkward too, Otis.
No, I can answer that question truthfully. I'm not going to suck off Greg too much here, but
I'll keep this part only on Patreon because
Yeah,
I didn't expect
Patreon.
you to actually say
Patreon,
something
yeah.
that I inspired.
so yeah, if it wasn't for Greg, I don't think that I would be where I am professionally. Greg got me to start talking to Ricky again, to have the courage to apologize to Ricky, because once my brother quit, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't really have a direction. I was just kind of working the same shitty rotation of companies, and then Greg started using me for my ability to edit podcasts, and
Okay,
he said
was not using
he
you.
said that he would help me get booked at freelance if I helped him edit the podcast, and it changed everything. Like, that's when I started traveling with you. That's when I started traveling with Ricky. We did a freelance show, and Ricky stole the belt at GCW the very next day.
Wow.
And it is what led into everything.
Yeah.
Because we were all talking about it, like, in the car and stuff.
Yeah.
And all bouncing ideas off of each other. And it's the same way, like, you got in 440 for GCW. Like, you just happened to be in the car. Like, that's how it was
Yeah.
for me, too.
It was a Monday show randomly, and I was already going to be at all the bookings, so Ricky was like, "Oh, you might as well just come to this one too, and maybe you
Yeah.
could be involved." And the rest is history. But I think more important than all that is just, I'm glad that despite our differences when you guys started training, I'm just glad we all became such close friends.
Absolutely.
It seriously means the world to me, and like I'm closer with you guys than a lot of people, and I would have never expected that
Yeah, me either.
5 or 6 years ago.
For sure.
So I'm very thankful for that, and I'm thankful for this conversation. And so we'll just end it on that. Thanks, guys. I look forward to July 4th. It's going to be something special. Fight TV, right?
Fight TV, yes. At 3 p.m., I think?
3 p.m. It's $13.99.
Jesus, don't say, edit that out.
People are like, I got to pay for my
Yeah.
wrestling? Fuck.
Yeah.
But
This
all right.
this is too sappy, so we're going to end it on Greg, you're a bitch.
Okay,
And you
well.
got to pay me for this podcast.
All right. Checks in the mail. That was the interview with the two brothers, Atticus and Otis Cogar, who are battling this Sunday, July 4th, Backyard Wrestling 3, one-on-one. Which brother will survive? We'll find out. But you got to tune in on Fight TV. That's the only way to see it. But,
Great interview. Bye.
why are you... What?
Huh?
What?
You told me that's how to end the show. You said we don't have to end with anything fancy or special. And you go, I don't know, you could just end it this way. Okay, bye.
I
Great interview. So, kiss? Or we're not even doing that today.
make
I don't
you-
want to get any of your...
Shut the fuck
your
up, you
beard
actual
dye.
moron.
I don't want to get any of your beard dye
I
on
shouldn't
my
even
face, so maybe
have
we
said
shouldn't
that to
kiss.
you. Whatever.
We'll still give you a kiss,
No,
though.
stop it.
Do you want a hickey?
Make sure you follow the show over on Twitter at Iron on Wrestling,
I have a turtleneck
Instagram,
sweater you
Facebook
could wear
as well.
so people don't see your hickey.
We're posting content on the social medias all the time. You'll enjoy it, so follow us there. You can follow me on social media at Gregory Iron on Twitter, at Gregory_Iron on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. DM me if you want to book me for pro wrestling seminars, motivational speaking engagements, or anything else. Or you can send me an email at Gregory_Iron@yahoo.com. Find my t-shirts at prowrestlingtees.com/GregoryIron. You can find my shirts. You can find Aaron's shirt. And, of course, until Sunday, you can get the Rod Destiny shirt, which will be coming down after Sunday. So if you want it, you got to get it now. This is a hot item.
Hey, bro.
And, of course, Cameo. You want a Cameo shout-out, find me on Cameo. Just search Gregory Iron. Aaron, what would you like to plug, sir?
I'm on Twitter at Fair to Air. You could be just like Conrad Thompson and follow me on Twitter. I also got an Instagram at Fair to Aaron. Yeah, I don't really do much else.
Okay.
And I really haven't been doing much on the IG, as I heard from my family at the reunion. They said, where are you at on the gram? So I should probably get back into it. What do you think?
I think you should probably post on social media on occasion. You know, maybe interact with some of the people that like interacting with you.
Yeah, it's hard, though.
Why?
Well, it's all negative. I'm just a negative fuck right now.
Okay, well, it's not necessary.
Huh?
Well, that's the end of the show. We plugged all of our stuff. We talked a little bit extended on Patreon, but you got to sign up for Patreon if you want to hear the extended stuff and get all the bonus content. But until then, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the support. Enjoy the weather. It's getting hot out there. It's getting to be sort of a cruel summer of sorts. But I'm okay with it over the cold weather. So enjoy yourselves. Be safe. Have fun. And until next week, we bid you farewell. And here is a succulent kiss goodbye.